So welcome back. So in today's lecture, we are going to talk about prototype model. But before that, let's quickly glance through that what all topics we have covered. So we started with the basic definition of software development life cycle. We looked into what basically a generic software development life cycle looks like and what actually it does. And then we talked about the some of the possible options of software development life cycle models, where we started with your waterfall model, where we identified that okay, this is something which is almost equal to a generic software development life cycle, but the way it is made is like it's a kind of waterfall, right? So that's why it is named as waterfall model. And then we saw some of the advantages of waterfall model, some of the drawbacks of it, and when to use it. And then we saw that okay, there is a possibility of bringing a small change to this waterfall model, because there were several drawbacks. So to overcome some of the drawbacks, we brought some minor changes. So this waterfall model became iterative in nature. So now this time we have an iterative waterfall model. So what we see is that we have an option of moving towards the immediate previous phase. So in today's discussion, we are going to talk about a prototype model. So what basically prototype model is that this particular model, before carrying out the development of the actual software, it creates and comes up with a prototype of a to be built application. Now this prototype is a miniature, or maybe you can say a toy implementation of the actual system. And this is a very raw version of the actual system with limited capabilities and limited quality attributes. And the basic purpose is to give the end users or the clients a general view of what your software is going to look like and how it is going to function in the coming days. Now what we do is that we come up with a prototype, share it with the end users, get some feedbacks. So what we do is we see there is an involvement of my end client as well, for which I am going to come up with this application. So we get some feedback, and this feedback gives us a scope of bringing some initial level improvements. And if suppose my client is happy with the prototype, I'll go ahead with coming up with this actual application. So what we do is we come up with a prototype, we build it, we test it. If required, we rework on it until and unless the prototype reaches to the acceptance level. And with the help of it, we get an image of a to be built application. So mostly in case of prototypes, it's like you can say a kind of a sample product and the initial version of the actual product. So this works best in the scenarios where your project requirements keeps on changing and are not in detail. So it's an iterative process where we see some trial and error method taking place. Just because we try something, get the approval from the clients, so we may fail or we may succeed. So we go ahead with this trial and error kind of thing. So this prototype model is nothing but an information gathering technique. In this, we see the users' reactions, suggestions, innovations, and the revision plans or the feedbacks from your end users or the end clients. In this model, your developers will be building a prototype which is evaluated by users. And post evaluation, we go ahead with the refinement of this prototype. And once the user gets satisfied, then your prototype is brought up for a final product. That means the same prototype, the moment it gets a green signal, is brought up for your final product. So let's quickly see what basically what's the basic purpose and how it looks like. So in this particular model, what we are trying to do is we are trying to feed these initial set of requirements. So once we get this initial set of requirements, we do the initial level of designing. Of course, for designing requires planning as well. Post designing, we build this prototype, and this prototype is passed on for the customer's evaluation. So we seek the feedback from the end user. That means the client for which I am building this particular product. And once the customer is satisfied, I go ahead with the actual development, then testing and the maintenance. Or if suppose the client says no, client is not happy with this prototype. So in that case, I'll go ahead with review and updation part. Once again, I'll bring some minor changes or major changes to the design. Once again, I'll bring the changes to the prototype. Once again, I'll seek the feedback. If this time customer is happy, let's go for the development, testing and maintenance, or else once again enter into this loop. So that's how it works. That means what we do is we take the requirements, we go for a quick design. From quick design, we build prototypes. After building prototype, what we do is we seek user evaluation. And post user evaluation, what we do is we refine the prototype. And this particular thing keeps on happening. And once the client is happy, I'll go ahead with your implementation and maintenance phase. So that's how it works. In case of your requirements gathering and analysis, your prototype model will be starting with this particular phase, and the requirements of the systems are defined in detail. And during this process, your user of the system will be interviewed in order to know what basically the user is expecting from this particular system. And then we'll go ahead with this quick design, which is like the second phase in which we have a preliminary design or a quick design. That means a very simple design is created, because we know that there will be several refinements in it. Once this is created, this particular design will not be considered as a complete design, right? So this particular quick design is a simple design, not a complete design. It is simply giving me some basic idea of the system, which will be helping the end user to analyze. And it will also help the designers to come up with the prototype. So while building prototype, I'll get some idea that in this particular phase, that means right now I have reached to this particular phase, an actual prototype is designed which is based on the information gathered from the simple or the quick design. So basically it is this particular building prototype will be giving me a small working model of the to be built application, right? That means I'll get something like this. Now then we go ahead with this user evaluation, and this is something which is an initial level user evaluation. So our proposed system is presented in front of the end user or the end client, and this is for the sake of the initial evaluation. Now this will help us in finding, some of the strengths or weaknesses of the working model. So what the developers do is they collect the feedbacks, comments or some suggestions, and then they refine this particular prototype which was built here, right? So this particular thing will be refined here. That means if suppose my end client is not happy with this particular prototype which I have come up with, in that case I will be refining this present prototype in accordance to whatever has been suggested during this user evaluation phase. And this particular phase will not be over until all the requirements or the feedbacks or the specified points are not met by this prototype. And once the user is satisfied with the help of this prototype, a final system is built. So we go into implementation and maintenance. That's why there is a major issue with this. The issue is with this thing. The problem is that I may enter into a vicious circle, an infinite loop, a never-ending loop. That means every time my end user will say that no, I'm not happy with the prototype. Once again I'll go ahead with this. Once again it will say no, I'm not happy with it. Once again I'll go into this. Once again it will say no. Once again I'll go into this. So it's like I'll enter into a vicious circle of coming up with a prototype, seeking a feedback, and then once again entering into the same circle, repeating the same efforts again and again. Now there are several types of prototyping model as well. Now the first one is your rapid throwaway prototype. Another one is your incremental prototypes. Another one is your evolutionary prototypes. And your last one is extreme prototypes. Now, in case of your rapid throwaway, this particular thing is based on the preliminary requirements. That means the rapid throwaway prototypes are based on your preliminary requirements. This is something which is quickly, from the name you might have got an idea that this is something which is quickly developed. And ultimately aim is to show how the requirements will look visually. And your customer's feedback helps in driving the changes to the requirements. And the prototype is once again created until the requirements is not met. That means my end user is not happy. So in this particular technique, a developed prototype will be discarded and will not be a part of ultimately accepted prototype. And this particular technique is of course useful for exploring some ideas and getting some instant feedbacks for the customer's requirements. So this was about rapid throwaway prototypes. Now let's talk about incremental prototypes. So what happens here is your final product is decimated into small prototypes. So there is one typo in this particular case, it's prototype. And each of these small prototypes are developed individually. And then all these prototypes are merged into a single product. So now this particular method will be very handy in order to reduce the feedback time between the user and the application development team. So the good point is that since now it would be like let's say a product has 4 small prototypes, right? So I have like P1, P2, P3 and P4. So all these are developed parallelly and the developers are seeking feedbacks from the end users in parallel. So definitely it is, all these P1, P2, P3 are small ones, and feedback is received and there is a continuous improvement in this particular field. So once all these things reaches to the final stage, that means P1 reaches final stage, P2 reaches final stage, P3 reaches final stage, P4, then this end product will be your, let's say, a bigger P, that would be nothing but P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4, and ultimately it will be reducing a good amount of time. And that's what our ultimate aim should be. So this particular thing comes out to be very handy and a very improved version. Now this was all about your incremental prototype. Now let's talk about evolutionary prototypes. So in this particular one, your prototype is developed incrementally and is refined based on customers' feedback until it is finally accepted. So what we do is, now in this particular case, developing a prototype from scratch for every interaction of the process can sometimes be very frustrating. So incrementally, let's say from P1 I reach to P2. So I'll refine P2 only, not P1. From P2 I reach to P3. So this time I'll refine P3. P2, P1 are the gone cases. So in this case also, it's not like every time I have to refine this P1. So this also saves a lot amount of time. And this particular model will be helpful for a project which will be using a new technology which is not well understood. And it is also used for very complex project where functionality must be checked once. This is also handy when the requirement is not stable. In fact, your prototype model, all the prototype models are useful when the requirements are not stable. So this was about evolutionary prototype. Now let's talk about extreme prototypes. So this extreme prototypes is commonly used in case of your web development. Now this particular thing consists of three phases. The first one is basic prototype with all the existing pages present in the HTML format. Right. So basic prototype plus all the HTML formats. In the second one, simulate the data processing using a prototype service layer. And in the third one, integration takes place. Integration of all the services into a final product. So once again, this comes very handy as far as your web development is concerned. Now let's quickly see some of the benefits of prototype model. So one is that it can bring changes to the system very early in the development phase. Just because of this prototype in nature, in the initial, with the help of the initial design, I can bring some changes. And this particular thing addresses the user's needs and expectations as well. And if suppose I am able to address the needs and expectations, so ultimately I will be reaching the customer satisfaction, and that's what the ultimate aim is. Now, when to use this particular prototype model? When the requirements are unclear. And I should go for a planned and controlled prototyping, or else what we saw was that we'll enter into a vicious circle. Go for regular meetings with the teammates. That gives you an idea that okay, what all changes we are making. At a very large scale, you need to approve a prototype and only then allow the team to move to the next step, because in the large application the team size will be high, large, and based on that everything will be interdependent. Now in this particular prototype model, the team communication should be very effective, and it encourages the innovation and flexible designing, because we know that I can bring some changes to my design. So this is also one of the major important advantage of using this particular prototype model. Now this is something which is very flexible. This is something which is very flexible in nature. And these prototypes can be changed or even discarded sometimes. This prototype also serves as the basis of operational specification as well. Right, so these are some of the pros of using this particular prototype models. So there are some drawbacks as well. Managing this prototyping process is very difficult. As we said, it should be very well planned, then only it's possible, or else you will enter into a vicious circle. Now this is something which is rapid and iterative in nature as well. The feedback is very important, right? Every time I need to seek the feedback, so it becomes a time consuming process as well. That means it's slow and time consuming. It may become a costly affair, so the cost of developing a prototype, if this goes beyond my budget, then I am in a heavy trouble, because that would be like total wastage. Sometimes I need to discard the prototype. Once again, it's a wastage. Now, if suppose my end user is encouraging me excessive changes, then also I am entering into trouble, just because my budget will run over budget, right? That means we may come across a situation where my customer may not be willing to participate in the iteration cycle for longer duration. So once again, I may not get the feedbacks, and once again I may come up with a faulty prototype, or if not faulty, then the prototype with which my end customer is not happy. In some of the cases, there may be far too many variations in software requirements when each time the prototype is evaluated by the customer. It may result into a poor documentation just because my requirements are frequently changing. And in the very beginning we said a software is complete when the product is associated with the document parts. And poor documentation, of course, not acceptable. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for software developers to accommodate all the changes demanded by the client. Right? All changes not acceptable. Now, after seeing an early prototype model, the customers may think that the actual product will be delivered to him soon. So a false impression of product being developed will be there. Sometimes we may also come across a situation where my client may lose the interest in the final product just because he or she may not be happy with the initial prototype. Then on top of it, developers who want to build the prototypes quickly may end up being substandard, and the developments and the solutions may also be substandard. So we, on top of having several advantages in using prototype model. There are several disadvantages as well, but it all depends on how you are going to use it and how well it is planned. So planning is something which is very crucial. That's why we have a course of software project management as well, where we deal with planning and management only. Right. So this was all about your prototype model. In our next video, we'll talk about another very interesting model, which is your rapid application development model. Right. So see you soon.